Hey second graders, today we are going to be reading another Jan Brett book, and I want you guys to pay special attention to what is so unique about her writing and her illustrating. So this book is called Who's That Knocking on Christmas Eve? Written and illustrated by Jan Brett. High above the Arctic Circle, in the land of ice and snow, the northern lights shimmer in the night like a curtain of color hanging from the sky. The air is so crisp and clear in the northern place that one Christmas Eve long ago, a boy from Finnmark, on his way to Oslo with his ice bear, could see smoke curling up from a hut far in the distance. He was cold and hungry, so he headed toward it. Far off in another direction, someone else smelled the smoke, and even though he couldn't see it, he raced off to tell the others. As the boy from Finnmark made his way toward the hut, Kiri was inside feeding the fire and that made the smoke that roasted and baked the fine food. Delicious sausage and fish and tasty buns and cakes were all laid out on a pine table. Sweet porridge bubbled over the fire, and apple cider stayed cool on the windowsill. So why did Kiri jump at every creak in the sod roof? And why did she run to the window when an icicle fell into the snow? It was because in years past on Christmas Eve, trolls came when they smelled the delicious aromas coming from the hut. They would pound on the door until it burst open, and they wouldn't leave until they had eaten up every bit of the Christmas Eve meal. No troll invasion this year, Kiri's father had said. I'm going up to the mountain to watch and chase them away. And off he had gone to stop the trouble before it began. So this year, Kiri was alone in the hut when she heard a soft sound at the door. Knockety-knock, knockety-knock. Someone was out there, but surely it was too polite a knock for it to be a troll. Kiri went to the door and peeked out. There was a boy from Finnmark with his ice bear. Please let me inside to warm up, he said. I am on my way south to show off my bear for the townsfolk of Oslo. I've many frosty miles behind me and many more to go. Come in, Kiri said, but I have to warn you that, in years past, our house has been invaded by a pack of hungry trolls. Trolls would be a welcome adventure, the boy said. So he came in, and the ice bear crawled under the warm stove and fell asleep. Kiri and the boy had just settled down in front of the fire when they heard, not so softly this time, knockety-knock, knockety-knock. There's no one home, the boy called out. He was certain it was the trolls, so he pushed the big chest in front of the door. When all was quiet, Kiri and the boy sat down in front of the fire again. Kiri got to thinking, I wonder if the porridge is creamy enough, and she ladled a bit of it into bowls for each of them. They had just raised their bowls when they heard a loud knockety-knock, knockety-knock. It was as if someone was pounding on the door with a big rock. No one at home, the boy from Finnmark shouted, and he ran to lock all the windows. And here we see Kiri's dad on the lookout for the trolls. It was quiet again, but the delicious smells wafted around the hut. Kiri got to thinking, is the sausage salty enough? She took a piece for herself and one to the boy. They had just raised their forks when they heard a thunderous knockety-knock, knockety-knock. The hut shook and they heard a loud crack. It was the cellar trap door splintering open. Kiri and the boy ran into the animal shed and pulled the door shut just as a torrent of noisy trolls burst up from the cellar. There were bat-eared trolls, there were bug-nosed trolls, and each troll was wilder and more raucous than the one before. They munched and grunted, shrieked and cackled, splashed the cider, and crammed themselves with Christmas cakes. Then, when they were through stuffing themselves, they tumbled about, pinching each other, stamping on one another's toes, and tweaking their long snouts, which is how trolls have a good time. But through the ruckus and din, the littlest troll spied the ice bear under the stove. He took the hot morsel of sausage he had been roasting in the fire and screeched, "Have a bit of sausage, kitty," and he poked the sleeping bear's nose with it. The ice bear leaped up with a tremendous roar, his nose burning terribly. Growling, he chased the little troll and all the big trolls around the table, up the walls and out the window. "Scratch them, kitty!" Kiri and the boy cheered as they watched the trolls scramble off through the ice and snow, howling. Up on the hill, Kiri's father heard the shouts, so he raced down on his skis. When he saw the trolls, Kiri's father could tell in an instant that they wanted to be as far away from the little hut as they could be. "Goodbye, trolls," he shouted as they disappeared up the mountain and he skied home. "What a fine bear you have," he told the boy from Finnmark. "Thank you for scaring away those pesky trolls. You must come back next year for a real Christmas Eve feast on your way home from Oslo." And they all sat down for some porridge. A year later, Kiri was on the mountain gathering wood to make a fire to cook their dinner on Christmas Eve, when the littlest troll popped up from behind a snowbank. "Missy," he called in a high crackly voice, "do you still have that kitty that sleeps under the stove?" "Oh, yes," Kiri said, "only she has grown up into a big cat now, and she has 7 kittens, all larger and fiercer than herself." "Ah," he screeched, "then we won't be visiting your hut on Christmas Eve." And he disappeared into a huge snowdrift. And that is the end, my friends. Here we can see Kiri on the back cover. And that was Who's That Knocking on Christmas Eve? So what I would like for you to do now is to go find your yellow reader's notebook and a pencil. You can pause this video to find these things, and then when you've got your materials ready, you can hit play. All right, now that you've got your materials, we are going to turn to the Books I Read section, and we're going to go to the first open section that you have. For me, it happened to be, let's see, number 7. So what I've done here on page my number 7, it doesn't matter which number it is for you. I've written the title, Who's That Knocking on Christmas Eve, and the author, who is also the illustrator, Jan Brett. And just like last time we did this, I went ahead for my drawing and did a square so that I can add some borders when it's time to draw. So what I would like for you to do, friends, is pause the video here, add the title, author, and the square, and then hit play. All right, now that you've added the title, the author, and the square, we're going to flip over to the other side where the lines are. This is your writing prompt for your reader's notebook today. It says, Jan Brett's writing and illustrating are unique because, and if you've noticed, I've put that word unique in a different color. I really want it to stand out to you guys. What do you think the word unique means? That's right. If you said it means different from the rest, special, that's exactly right. So we are writing about what makes Jan Brett's writing and illustrating unique. So go ahead, pause the video, write down this prompt, and then go ahead and write your answer. And let's challenge ourselves to write at least 3 sentences in response to this writing. And then when you're all done, you can work on your picture and you can be creative with what you draw for Who's That Knocking on Christmas Eve. So friends, pause the video, go ahead and Write this prompt, write at least 3 sentences, and then you may draw. Happy reading, happy writing!